This is the Horse Radio Network.
This is episode 126 of the Healthy Critters Radio on Horse Radio Network. Healthy Critters Radio is brought to you by BioStar US. Find them online at biostarus.com.
On today's show, we meet with Dr. Rob Franklin and his mission to help working equids in South America. In Patipedia, we get tips on checking temperament in puppies and dogs. In Critter Nutrition, Tigger answers a customer's question on muscle-building diets for horses. And in Coffee Klatch, we match famous comedians with dog breeds. Listen in. I'm Tigger.
I'm Patty.
And I'm Coach Jen. I'm the ringleader here in this here circus. I feel like I should have a top hat and a big long whip and a red coat.
I want to hear a whip.
Yeah, I have one of those sound effects somewhere.
Say.
Or just the sound of the big top. You know, that kind of Barnum and Bailey music. That would be awesome.
That would be a lot of fun.
Oh, that would be.
Yeah. But here we are at our chit chat part of the show. And once again, Patty and Tigger have made the amateur mistake of letting me choose the topic.
Yeah.
You should know better.
We should.
We should. But what I want to know, later in the show, saddle pads are mentioned. So that got me thinking, because saddle pads is a favorite for equestrians to collect. You have 30 million saddle pads, a stack of 17 of them, and you have one horse, right? Yes, and you can never throw one away, ever.
No.
Right? Doesn't matter how worn out it is. You'd never put it on your horse again, but you can't throw it away because so-and-so gave it to you, or your horse wore it when he got his first blue ribbon. It goes on and on. And we all have something we collect. So, Tigger, I want to know what it is that you collect.
Dust.
Now that's cheating. That's cheating, Tigger.
I collect dog leashes.
Interesting. Dog leashes.
I have so many dog leashes. It's ridiculous. It's embarrassing.
Now, do you
have a dog?
I do.
I was going to say, do you ever put your dogs on a leash, or you just like to collect them?
Well, I do, like to go to the vets and things. I have to put them on leashes. But I don't know. I have leather leashes. I have show leashes. I have practical leashes. Cotton leashes. It's silly. And and yet when I want to find a leash, I can never find it. So I have leashes in the car. I have leashes in both cars. I have leashes by a certain door going outside. I have leashes I have a cabinet that's just for dog things. I have a leash in my bedroom. Yeah. So
that might be getting too personal, Tigger.
That's yeah.
Yeah.
So I collect leashes. What do you collect, Patty?
Oh, well, I mean, the saddle pad thing, I realized actually I would not have been able to, I wouldn't have said that had I not gone in a drawer in the barn today. And I was like, I have literally 15 saddle pads in here. So saddle pads down, and just hands down. I do love a saddle pad.
The first step is admitting you have a problem, Tigger. Patty.
Yeah, right. Of course, Tigger, you said dust. I'm going to say just animals in general. I collect animals in general. But kind of a funny thing, because I don't know that I would have thought of this, but socks. I like socks. I like cute socks.
I love socks.
Socks, yeah.
I think giving socks for Christmas is one of the best gifts ever.
Yeah. I would agree, and I get cute socks. And one of my friends had been at a place, I think it was in San Francisco, sock store, and they have like all these funny sayings on them, sort of like, you can never have too much wine, or one says you can never have
funny socks are the best.
Yeah. And then one she gave me, she goes, "I love my job." Just kidding. Just like stuff. So I love socks. So I think I'm going to say socks.
Your sock out. Interesting.
Yeah. What about you, Jen? Do you have a?
Oh, I'm a bit of a collector overall, but I was trying to think of something that I have a lot of. I never feel like I have enough of them, and I will never throw away. It has to be all three criteria. I'm a halter collector.
I knew it. I knew it.
I cannot bring myself to throw away a halter, irregardless of whether or not I have an animal that will fit. Doesn't matter how broken it is, how rusty it is.
You never know when you're going to need it.
And I tend to harvest parts from them as well. Because you can't throw away those little D-shaped rings. You can use them for something, right?
Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
I'm terrible about halters. Too many.
Okay.
I have too many too.
Yeah.
Is it bad when you're having this conversation and you hear somebody say, "This is something I collect," and you're like, "Yeah, me too." Like, I'm like, "Oh yeah." I totally have. I don't know if I have as many leashes as you have, Tigger, but and I certainly don't have them in my bedroom. But at least, but yeah, I never throw stuff out like that, Jen. Like I always recycle the parts. Always.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
Yeah. There we go. So it's halters and it's socks and it's dog
leads.
There you go.
But we're about to meet a very interesting vet who may have a need for our halters and socks. He works with Equids, the working Equids in South America, and volunteers his time to provide farrier service, dentistry, and and their nutritional and warming needs. So let's meet Dr. Rob Franklin. And we are here with our guest, Dr. Rob Franklin, DVM. He is a new vice president of the AAEP, that's the American Association of Equine Practitioners. But he has a particular passion for equids south of the border that are the working animals. And that's why we're thrilled to have him on today to talk about the mules and donkeys and horses that are needed by impoverished people in South America. So welcome, Dr. Rob.
Welcome.
Hi, Tigger. Thanks for having me.
So I know I have a very small statistic from your website, 80 million of these equids. That's around the world, correct?
That's a lot, right?
It's a lot.
It may be as high as 100, but it's a big number.
How did you get involved in taking care of these working equids?
That's a great question. It's one of those things where we have so many career goals, and so many of those are about achieving your own sort of status and legacy within your chosen career profession. I think you could probably echo this sentiment, but I think you sort of reach some of those rungs on the ladder, and you find that that those just aren't as fulfilling as what they might have appeared earlier on. And I think, like many of us, you start looking for ways that instead of serving yourself, you can serve others. And that was a real epiphany that I had. And it was one where I didn't have the answer. It wasn't immediately presented to me, but I sort of had the notion to go and seek. And it was late 2000s. I was planning to join one of my business partners and classmates, colleagues, old college roommate and fraternity brother, Dr. Keith Letson, an equine surgeon. I was going to join him, and my wife and I were going to go out and run a half marathon in Southern California. And I told her, I told her, I said, hey, we'll go and we'll run this half, and then maybe we'll just run up Big Sur and have a nice vacation. And then it was sort of plan that trip, and I got an email that talked about the plight of these working equids and the need for some equine veterinary volunteers. And I told my wife we're going to have to put that trip up to Big Sur on the back burner. And luckily, she's my number one fan and my greatest supporter, and so she was very understanding. And I told Dr. Latson, I said, I think maybe we've got something that we need to do after this half marathon. So we finished the race, and we hopped on a jet to Mexico after that.
Wow.
And went down and got involved with these animals. And it was really an eye opener, Tigger, just to understand how much, as someone who works on horses every day, and you see all kinds, and I've had the opportunity to travel the world and practice around the country and around the world. You see all types of disciplines and all types of breeds and horse owners and great horse people. But this was just a whole nother chapter. And so it was really invigorating, hit me in a spot where I felt very invigorated to pour back into these animals and their owners. And so it's been a nice thing to dovetail into my career. And it's very fulfilling to be able to help those people and their animals.
What are some of the issues that you see with these equids? What are common? I mean, I'm guessing, worming, nutrition, but farrier. I mean,
yeah.
Yeah, you're exactly right. You've probably ticked a lot of the big boxes right there with your short list. It's not complicated, and normally the big problems in the world really aren't that complicated, but they are still complex. And as far as the solution to making lasting change, which is a real problem, especially when you're talking about the developing world. It's just hard for us to go in there and do something in these societies. But these animals are the sort of international Toyota pickup for these people. So you can imagine.
I get it.
Yeah, right. You know the Toyota pickup is around the world, and it's a way of commerce. It's a way of transportation. It's a way.
And it goes for hundreds of thousands of miles with little maintenance.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so that these communities don't have a Toyota pickup, and they, most of the people that we work on their animals in Central America, these people make about $1.50 to $3 a day. So they're very, very tight on funds, and they, a vehicle, and they're living in the mountains. And so, even roads are not very reliable. And oftentimes they're harvesting, coffee on hillsides or corn or beans or whatever. So everything is quite potentially cannabis. I don't know that we've knowingly worked for those people, but yes.
Sorry,
be a different topic. Yes. So they're relying on these animals to take their kids to school, to transport their cargo, firewood. These people are living without electricity, so the way that they make their water potable, and they heat their homes. And most people think Central America is all hot and tropical. I mean, these people are living at 7,000 to 9,000 feet altitude. It's, they need heat. They need a source of fuel to cook. And so all that is by gathered firewood. And there's some amazing pictures you may have encountered about these animals. You can barely see the animal. They're carrying so much gathered firewood. So to answer your question, again, the problems these animals have are not, completely exotic. You're talking about parasites, internal, external. You're talking about wounds. largely from poor harnesses and saddle fitting. So some of these animals are cart horses. Some of them are wearing pack saddles. But a lot of these harnesses and pack saddles are totally homespun. They're passed on from animal to animal. So it may have fit a 600-pound mule and then being put on a 300-pound donkey, or, there's nothing really custom fit. And you can imagine the saddle sores. They can just be horrendous. And then we see a lot of lameness. These animals are oftentimes started in their work before their musculoskeletal system is completely mature. So you see a lot of tendon and bone injury. And then you just see, wear and tear type of injury as well. A lot of these animals, Tigger, are those light riding breeds that the conquistadors brought around, 500 years ago. And those were not meant to be pack animals.
Oh, boy.
And they're real fine legged. And of course, they're wonderful to ride for long distances, just have that lovely gait that, but in terms of being a pack animal, they're not really designed for that. And so that's where the donkey and the mule, if you see those in those environments, they're very hardy and well built for those types of situations. But we see problems with vaccination. These animals are exposed to tetanus and rabies. There's vampire bats down there. There's encephalitis. Yeah, we see a lot of bat bites on these animals, and encephalitis. So vaccination is a big deal. Deworming, saddle sores, hoof care, as you mentioned, is a big deal. And then, simple day-to-day stuff that we do here and take for granted, like dentistry and like castrating colts. Those things just aren't done. There's just not access. There are lovely, lovely veterinarians down there, people that are just capable. They're keen, but there's no economy for those services in the people we're talking about. And it's not limited to Central or South America. It's a global thing on all continents. The developing world, it represents the majority of the people on this planet, and they're still like we used to be 120 years ago, where they're relying on horses just like we used to.
Are you in touch with Brook International?
I have worked with the Brook. Yes, and they are there's a number of really wonderful equine, and a lot of them are British, and I guess that's just the British love of the horse. Yeah, so the Brook, World Horse Welfare, the Donkey Sanctuary, those are all British institutions that are just these huge equine charities. And the reason that they're just so great is they go into these different areas and they work with local non-governmental organizations, the NGOs, and they establish this sort of network that people like myself can plug into, and where they may have resourced farriers and saddle fitters, and we bring in the veterinary services. So there's this huge collaboration in the equine welfare sector that really does work well together.
Wow.
Yeah.
When you take care of some person's donkey, and you give it a wormer and then you leave, we know that sometimes a heavily parasite burdened equid can have a reaction to the wormer, or will need subsequent wormings to actually clear. So how do you handle that?
Yeah, and that's been handled a lot of different ways. To answer your question, we don't see that type of colic or reaction, as you said, that we used to see. So when we think about the blood worms, the worms that inhabit the arteries that go to the intestinal tract, and years and years ago, that was a big deal, right? The horses would colic and die from parasites. And it just doesn't happen anymore. And thankfully, we don't see that down there either. These animals are very, very heavily burdened. We've done studies. We've gone down there and done fecal studies and looked at their worm burden, and it is astronomical.
Wow.
But we have not seen, those typical type of reactions. There are some groups that will do different type of strategic worming protocols, and where they'll try to come back 14 days later. The tough part, Tigger, is that there's just not a very good continuity of care. And so you may or may not see these animals again. We've been to some villages over and over again over the past 8 years. And then it's not like you see the same animal. You're not walking into that show barn where, Dynamo lives on the third stall on the left, and Dynamo's been there, for 10 years. And so I know exactly how Dynamo's healthcare goes. These animals, sometimes the day that we're there in that village, that animal is out, 20 miles away, bringing in a harvest of corn. And so you just don't see them. And, we do work with these NGOs and local veterinarians where, they do try to provide some modicum of care, but it is, it's just not consistent. And so, and I thought maybe the next question you might ask is what do you see over time? And that's something that we would love to sort of chart and say, we see, a half or a full grade of body condition score in these animals over time, giving this intervention. And there have been some measurements that the World Horse Welfare, Brook, and Doxy Sanctuary have been able to do that. And that's really where they come in, and they've got, full-time people to do those sort of stuff and that sort of thing. But I'll just be honest and say that this is very much almost a mash unit. I mean, you're really taking care of them, and you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. But and I'll tell you one of the big things, Tigger, that is that I find two things I find very satisfying, and that is one thing, that there's a person tied onto that horse or on the other end of that. And it's really an opportunity for me as a gringo, as someone that speaks a little of the language, but many of these people speak Mayan or some sort of Indian dialect that is, Spanish is a second language for them. But there's a chance to sit there and spend time with people that where language is not important. That the fact is that there's, we're just showing that we care about these people, and they understand that we're here for them as much as we are their animal. And while we're not providing a silver bullet, we're not going to undo their poverty, or, we're not going to necessarily change their trajectory of their life. But, there's some comfort in knowing that someone else cares about me, even though my situation doesn't change. And I think that our teams find that feeling of, and it benefits us as much as them, but it's just, hey, I care about you. I see you. I appreciate what you're going through, and I care about you. And I think the other thing is working arm in arm with the local veterinarians and just telling them that we care about them as well. We try to educate. We try to, cross-pollinate with each other. They tell us things they've learned about, working on such animals, and we try to explain maybe some of the more cutting-edge stuff that they can take back into the big cities, and they can work. There are some great dressage and show jumping horses.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes,
there are, but they're few and far between compared to the thousands and thousands of the donkeys and horses and mules out there.
Are you surprised at what the donkeys and horses eat in because I'm just thinking to myself, these people aren't going to go out and buy themselves a couple of bales of alfalfa hay. And, I'm just imagining that the animals are, scrounging for themselves. So they probably are eating quite a variety of plants that horses in the U.S. would probably just turn their noses up at.
Oh, you are so spot on. Yes, ma'am. Yeah. The average. So trees.
Do they eat like bark and?
If it's laying there, they'll eat it. Yeah. So, tortillas. Yeah, absolutely.
What?
That's actually a great calorie treat for them, because
for sure.
These that's corn and fat is what's in a tortilla, and a horse can utilize both of those.
Yeah.
So what they typically eat are these just tropical grasses that are collected or they're grazed. So the guys and gals will, go out there with their machetes, and they will. And there's wonderful pictures of these animals, a little 250-pound donkey. You cannot see the donkey. You just see this massive pile of grass moving down the road. And underneath there is a donkey, but they'll gather those grasses. The grasses are very poor quality. They're just, obviously it's not an improved type of pasture grass or anything like that. It's just whatever they can gather. And then they'll feed them what they call corn stover. So corn is a huge part of the food chain in Central America. Mm-hmm. And so the animals will eat the corn stalks, the corn husks. They call all that corn stover. Okay. And so that is something that's, not very digestible. And here is another reason that the donkey and mule does so well is they're able to digest that really poor roughage so much better than a horse can. And they're also not so prone to getting obstructions and colics from that poor quality stuff. But yes, you'll see them just eating on a corn husk, that like we wrap a tamale in, and you're thinking there's nothing in it. Well, there's something. The microbes in that animal's gut can make something out of it. And then, we try to educate. Malnutrition is a huge thing. It is a huge problem. We try to educate people just to be able to let them know what the calorie needs, because they think that their animal looks normal because everywhere you look, their animal looks the same as the other animals. Yeah. Right. But for you and I, we go in there and go, this animal looks atrocious. So as veterinarians, we'll typically classify an animal from 1 to 9 on a body condition score, a 9 being an obese animal, a 1 being a walking skeleton. These animals are all 1 to 2s, Tigger.
Whoa!
No, you don't even see a 3. You don't even see a 3. Yeah. Maybe the donkeys will run in as a 3, just because they are so much better able to handle that poor nutrition. But the horses, they're 1 to 2s. And of course, all those bony eminences or protuberances that they have, those work against them whenever they're trying to carry a saddle, because now you got stuff rubbing against them. Yeah. So it's pretty shocking. And the other thing is they tie them up while the guys are working out in the field. They'll tie those animals up along the trail or the road, and they're tied there all the time. And so the same animals, heavily parasitized, are defecating and eating in the same stations. And there's just a string of animals tied up there while the guys are working in the field. And so they're just eating poor quality feed and just continuously inoculating themselves with more worms. So it's really a tough situation.
Do you see ulcers in these donkeys?
We don't take a gastroscope down there, so I couldn't make any educated comment about the incidence of gastric ulcers in there. It wouldn't surprise me if there was some, but they're not. That they are able to forage more consistently than our stabled horses are. So meaning there's stuff going into their stomach, and they also don't get a lot of concentrate, which a concentrate will lead to ulcers as well. Yeah. So they're probably there, but not to the same situation that we're dealing with our show horses.
Yeah. What can we do to support your work and all the listeners out there at Healthy Critters?
Yeah. I think like anything that you're passionate about, you can give your time, you can give your money, you can give your encouragement and prayers, right? And so the channels for doing that for us are going to be a wonderful equine welfare foundation. It's called the Foundation for the Horse, and that is led by the largest group of equine professionals in the world, and that's the American Association of Equine Practitioners. Oh. And so we have the Foundation for the Horse, and it's a wonderful group that supplies many things, including money for research, scholarship for equine veterinarians, but also it provides for welfare. And some of that welfare is like whenever we have hurricanes, we have wildfires out west, we have floods in the south. Anytime those situations, well, the Foundation for the Horse immediately expedites resources to help those animals. But the Foundation for the Horse also sponsors the types of trips that we do, where we're going in with groups of veterinarians and para professionals and providing the care, so that so we get support from that group as well. So that's a great thing. You can Google that, the Foundation for the Horse.
Okay, great.
And that's a great place to give. The other one is called the Equestrian Initiative, and that's a group that I was part of forming, and it is kind of a play on words. It's a contrived word, equestrian, meaning an equine enthusiast that is attempting a humanitarian effort. And so the Equestrian Initiative is a collaboration of a number of us equine veterinarians. We've got people working throughout the world. We've got people working domestically on our Native American reservations with the horses there. And so the Equestrian Initiative, which is equestrianinitiative.org, is another great place you can contribute. You can also look for trips that you can sign up. So we do take paraprofessionals. We take just equine enthusiasts. They're typically about 10 to 20% of the team, but they do join us for these trips as well. And it's a great place for people that really want to step out to plug in. People can also email me if they're interested, and I can help direct them. And I've got an email that's pretty easy. It's just my initials, rf@fredequine.com. Fredericksburg Equine's my veterinary clinic. And I'll be happy, because I know there's a lot of people that want to do good. They just don't know where to put their efforts in there.
Absolutely.
And that's been a real big calling for us as well, Tigger, is just finding that there's a number of everyone has their equine vet, and they know their equine vet, but they don't realize is that their equine vet is hungry to give back too. And it's been very good to be able to offer those veterinarians a space to give back as well. And so we've had veterinarians literally come from Europe, from the Northeast. We have a Texas-led trip, but we have people literally come from around the globe to join us to go down. And our teams are small. I mean, we're typically 8 to 12 people, and we'll go down and spend a couple of weeks in Central America. And it's a great opportunity for those people to give back. And then, of course, encouragement and prayers are always welcome. And the people you can encourage are typically in your social network or your professional network. And there are people that are doing that and just encouraging them to keep going. There's a lot of your veterinarians and veterinary assistants that they give back locally. They may help with our therapeutic riding center. They may, do some work pro bono for different groups,
rescues,
charitable groups.
Yeah,
exactly. We particularly like to champion the therapeutic riding groups, just because they're so tied to the human animal bond and the good that the horse gives to the person, and you just can't beat that. So I think that those are the three ways people can give back. And I always appreciate people wanting to ask that question, just as you've done, because it is something just innately all of us do want to contribute to the greater good.
Do you need supplies like halters, lead ropes, saddle pads? I was thinking about these poor donkeys and how a nice, better fitting saddle pad would benefit them tremendously.
I know. And that was an initial thought of mine as well. And luckily, working with groups like the Brook and World Horse Welfare and Donkey Sanctuary, they've got these very educated people that are part of their teams. And the big thing that everyone's trying to do is everyone's trying to help but not hurt. And what they try, or everyone's working towards something sustainable. And so when you go in and you give and you donate a lot of stuff, sometimes you're supplanting the local economy. You could be interfering with that. And you can also, and you can also begin to get that sort of handout mentality. And so that's why we're always working with the locals, and we're trying to really feature the local veterinarian, the local veterinary students, the community elder, and so that we're not like, it doesn't just all fall apart whenever we're gone. And so there's more of a continuum. And so that's why they've encouraged me, and in fact, many of these groups, they train halter makers, they train saddle makers.
Oh, that's
they're
awesome.
trying to give people where you can go buy a rope and you can make a halter and you can sell it for 75 cents. And now you can make something, right? So they're trying to do that. And that's probably a bit more sustainable. The other problem is logistics, to try to bring that stuff in, it gets very, very difficult to do. But I was in the exact same spot the first time I came in there. I said, I know exactly what I'm doing. I'm going to go get a big donation of saddle pads because these animals, they need some saddles.
Well, I just have to tell you, Rob, this has been one of our best interviews. It's something, giving back is really what BioStar is all about, and we've been donating to different canine and equine charities since we started in 2007. So to have somebody on of your passion doing this incredible work, I want to go to the Indian reservations. So I put a star next to the Equestrian initiative. I think once I get my vaccines for COVID, I think I would like to go out. My ancestors are Native Americans, so I have a real yen to go out and help that community. So thank you.
Tremendous need. So, and you'd be appreciated.
I know there is. So thank you so much for coming on Healthy Critters. This has been a fantastic session, and I encourage everyone, the Foundation for the Horse or the Equestrian Initiative, let's get more people involved and, help Equids in both hemispheres, in all hemispheres.
Hello, everyone. Hello.
Hello.
So we have been discussing the things that we collect.
Wait. It's important that we discuss something first before that.
Oh, okay.
It's Tigger's birthday coming up, and we have to have a big cake. My friend Sabi, he texted me, and he said we should have a bacon cake. But I said I thought that we could also include cheese and ham and egg.
Oh.
Oh, goody.
I thought it was very nice of Sabi to reach out.
It was wonderful of Sabi to reach out. God bless him.
He's so smart.
He is smart. Well, thank you, Hetty. I would prefer not to have a cake, and a cupcake for a human would be just fine.
You don't want to have a bacon cake?
No, thank you very much.
I totally want that for my birthday.
Well, we will arrange that for you.
Okay, that's nice. Thank you.
You're welcome. So now I want to ask you, what do you collect?
What do I collect? Mm-hmm. Admiring fans.
Oh, yes, that's true.
Okay.
You are a better collector of stuff than we are. Our stuff is pretty boring that we collect. Halters, saddle pads, socks. Not admiring fans. It's
Yeah, no, I had I'm kind of like by that one.
That's the winner. Ding ding ding.
Yep, ding ding ding.
Hetty wins the collecting.
Yes. I win.
You win.
What does your servant collect?
Pomeranians.
Yeah, that's true too.
Oh, that's
Today
so
she rescued another one. It's going to be for adoption as soon as he gets groomed and cared for a little bit. Then he's going to need a home.
Is he living
Aw.
with you?
He's actually not living with us due to the fact that perhaps my sister and I were a little bit not nice to him. But he's living with the other family of dogs on this property. He's a very nice dog. I don't know why I felt compelled to be a little bit of a brat, but I did.
Yeah, well, you are
He's
the
very
star.
well adjusted.
Oh, wow.
So I don't really have a lot in common with him,
Maybe that's what triggered it.
I
Yeah.
think so. He's
Yeah.
likes all people, and he's attractive, and he doesn't bite or anything like my sisters. So they don't bite anymore, but they sure were little sharks when they came here.
Well, I hope he finds a wonderful home, and I'm sorry that you weren't nicer to him.
I'm going to try again tomorrow. I'm going to
Okay.
find the angel of my better nature.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, and
Yes.
your
Yeah,
adoring fans would approve.
Yes.
Mhm.
I think maybe I beat it up and put it in a box somewhere. So I'm going to go rooting around and see if I can find it.
It's a great idea, Hedwig. Thanks for
plan.
stopping by.
Thanks, Hetty.
Bye,
Bye,
Hetty.
guys.
So we are at the Patipedia portion of our show, and I thought it would be a great idea to talk about temperament testing that you can do in puppies and dogs. And the purpose of this is to help the prospective owner, and if it's a breeder or a shelter, to help the prospective owner choose the right type of dog for their family. Now, they do it a lot for specific breeds, like herding breeds. If you want to, like Tigger and I have Australian Shepherds, and it's a herding breed. And if you want one that has high drive for herding, there are certain things that you can do to see if they're a little bit more independent and higher drive. Or if you want one to be cute and fluffy, like my little Burke, you can do things to test for that as well. The best way to predict these things, and again, none of this is an exact science, but it is certainly very helpful because you can get an idea of what you're dealing with. Puppies usually show their personalities really start to come out between 6 and 8 weeks. It's really important to wait as long as you can. A lot of breeders will hold their dogs back. For instance, like therapy dogs, they're going to hold their dogs back as long as they can to make sure that they're truly going to be a decent therapy dog. Or a Schutzhund breeder would do the same thing. Or again, somebody that was looking to do herding. The importance when you're talking, mainly I'll talk about puppies and then we can talk a little bit about, older dogs, is that every puppy in a litter is going to be different. And it's, obviously, you can see that if you go somewhere and you meet the breeder and the puppies and the parents. And so there's no one size fits all test, but a lot of breeders, assess by doing the certain things that they like to do. So the testing, you can do it as early as 7 weeks. Again, they recommend that you do it as late as you possibly can because it will give you a more accurate idea of what you're looking for. So there's 5 different assessments in this one temperament testing thing that I found, and biggest one is for independence and mindfulness. So what you can do, and again, you can do this with an older dog if it's not real large, but it's called cradling. And so you pick up the puppy and you cradle it on its back like it's a baby, and you hold your hand on its chest, and you look into their eyes. And if the puppy accepts this, they will be considered to be a biddable, a dog, one that would be a little bit more willing and trainable. Again, not an exact science, but those who are a little bit more independent don't really like to make eye contact, and they'll squiggle around a little bit. Another test for independence is to hold the puppy under its arms and its hind legs and leave their legs dangling. Yeah, I mean, obviously these tests are done safely, and you don't want them that far off the ground. But the idea is to take them and have them in under their armpit in the hind legs, and then you again want to look directly into their eyes. That will, if they submit to that, that will show a lower scale for willfulness. Again, not as independent, and ones that struggle are going to be a little bit more independent. And when I say struggle, I just mean wiggle around. It's not like you hold the dog there until it stresses out. And again, the breeders generally do this. And sometimes when you go to shelters with older dogs, they can do these things. But the shelter, the person in the shelter or somebody who's, obviously done these before is the ones you want to have do this. Another test is noise sensitivity. You can drop, keys into a tin pan and see how the dog or the puppy responds. If they cower, if they cower from the noise, and it's hard to get them out of being cowered, then that's going to be a dog. Not necessarily that it's going to be a bad dog, but can have more reaction to loud noises. So you may not want a lot of kids around with higher noises. If one acknowledges it, why it's happened, but still walks away, that's going to be one that probably is going to be able to handle a louder, like a louder home, or with other dogs, or even with kids. There's one they call the people-friendly test, and so what you do is you see how the dog or the puppy reacts to a stranger walking into the room. So after they've been left alone in the room. And then when you walk back in, if they run over to greet the person, then a dog that's going to be a little bit tends to be more friendly or interactive with other people. And Tigger, I know you know this, when we've gotten our Australian Shepherd puppies, I'm sure for you would know this better than me. Some are a little bit more, I don't want to say friendly to other people, like when we go to horse shows and stuff, but others are a little bit more kind of backed off and they want to stay, with us more. Do you know what I'm saying? But if the ones like, if you're in a room with a puppy and they want to run or cower and cry, that's a good indication of if that's going to be a dog that you're going to want to bring into the public a lot, and then, how you would handle that. So testing older puppies or a dog is, again, you could leave it with the breeder or the person or the shelter person that they know with some toys, and have that person that they know leave. And if they come back in and they could care less that their person is left, that's going to be a little bit more of an independent puppy. Or dog. If the person leaves and the dog or puppy is not interested in toys or the other person, all they do is whine for the person that's gone, their person, that could be one that may potentially have separation issues. And that's something to consider, because that can be quite a hard thing to deal with. The one that's kind of the middle of the road, the puppy that paid attention to the person coming and going but was fine with the person gone, is probably the type of dog that's going to be the most easy going dog that won't have separation anxiety issues. And again, all of these tests are just sort of ideas of how breeders and shelter people can help people recognize potential problems coming with the dog that they're choosing. My one dog that I have I was told as a puppy, and this was a very reputable breeder, said that he was just very independent and loved to walk away from other people, and they had done temperament testing, and he turned out to be the neediest dog I have, in a good way. But so these are tests that are just guidelines, and they can help you get an idea if it's going to be the right type of dog. Especially if you're looking specifically at a type of breed, make sure you pay attention to what those dogs are bred for, and then have those temperament tests done, because it will be a good indicator of what you potentially could be dealing with in the future. And it's just a great tool to have in your chest, not to look into the future, but to have an idea if it's going to be a good animal for your family.
And we are at Critter Nutrition, and I got a letter from a listener, and it's a question, and we call it Ask Tigger. Diet recommendations to build muscle. Dear Tigger, I recently purchased a horse that was doing mid-level dressage, and I'm transitioning him into a mid-level jumper. I'm struggling to help him build new muscle, increase stamina, and keep his weight consistent, all the while making sure that he has increased energy to jump 2 times a week. Generally, he is a tall and lean horse to begin with, and we live in South Florida, so I would not say that the grass is the greatest. I have transitioned him to an oats-based feed, Competition 14 from Connolly's Red Mill, and he is on total blood fluids, muscle, total joint care performance supplements, and an electrolyte, as well as camelina oil. He gets Timothy hay 3 times a day and alfalfa at lunch. What else can I do to support him? My answer is, looking at your feed program, you may need more protein to build new muscle. The feed he is on provides 12% protein, which is great for maintenance, but probably not enough to build new muscle. Alfalfa hay is a great source of protein with a range of 18 to 26% protein. Timothy hay, like other grass hays, is significantly lower, in the 7 to 14% range, and commonly around 8 to 9% protein. You would need to do a hay analysis to get a more specific picture of the protein in the hay your horse is getting. You might want to increase the alfalfa by giving him a flake 3 times a day rather than once a day. Using a fat source like camelina is an excellent way to add both long burn energy as well as helping weight gain. You can add additional fat calories such as Renew Gold, which provides a blend of triglycerides from coconut meal and rice bran and provides 15% protein. BioStar's approach to muscle building supplements and recovery is a little different from the products you are using. The foundation ingredient for both our Impulsion and Quantum formulas is a shilajit extract. Shilajit is a bioresin used for thousands of years in Ayurvedic medicine. Its name in Sanskrit means conqueror of weakness. Russian scientists began studying shilajit in the early 1960s as a food to help their athletes. Shilajit is commonly made into tea by the Sherpas in Nepal. Western scientists have discovered that shilajit regulates the mitochondria of the cells. The mitochondria convert fat, sugar, protein, and oxygen into usable sources of energy known as ATP. Low-functioning mitochondria is linked to chronic oxidative stress, diet, and inflammation. Low-functioning mitochondria will increase muscle fatigue, increase joint deterioration, and immune system imbalances. Low-functioning mitochondria will affect muscle development. If the current supplement program you are on for muscle building does not improve your horse's muscles and recovery after 60 days, you might consider switching to a different muscle support supplement. When looking for feed and supplements for your horse, remember every horse is an individual, and a combination of feed and supplements that works well for one horse may not work well for another. Give any new feed plan or supplement a month or more to show positive results in your horse. So we're at Coffee Klatch, and we're doing a little matchmaking of dog breeds to comedians. The comedians we've chosen are Chris Rock, James Corden, Jerry Seinfeld, and Tina Fey. I'm going to begin with Chris Rock. I picked the Jack Russell Terrier.
Interesting choice.
Because I thought he would find them very amusing. And he seems like a high energy guy, so their energy wouldn't bother him. And I think he could make great voices for a Jack Russell Terrier.
Oh, yeah.
Patty?
I chose a Basset Hound.
Oh my God. Okay.
I don't, it just spoke to me. I just thought that, I don't really have a very good reason other than I just thought it was funny because I think he's hysterical, but sometimes I feel like, I know he's high energy, but I also feel like in some of the movies that he's been in, I can't think of the one movie that he was in with Adam Sandler and all the families get together, but he was just very basset houndish in that. So that's that story. I'm sticking to it.
That's funny.
Jennifer?
Chris Rock. I don't know that I've ever seen a Chris Rock movie, so this one was a tough one for me.
Coming to America?
I think I saw that one. That's a long time ago.
Dr. Dolittle?
Nope, didn't see Dr. Dolittle.
Oh.
Nope.
He voiced the guinea pig.
Ah, okay. I picked Doberman Pinscher.
Oh.
I think that's actually, I got to say that's good.
Yeah, again, high energy. I got that part, but I thought I have the feeling that he's very energetic, and if you're somebody he's energetic and fun and a little bit edgy, but if you're not somebody he likes, could be a little dangerous.
He's gonna sick his Doberman on you.
Could be like, don't want to get on his bad side. Yeah.
For James Corden, I had a Siberian Husky because
that one.
Huskies like to sing, and it could sing with him in cars and karaoke.
I like that.
Okay, that's funny.
I can see the dog sitting in the back seat, going woo, woo.
I like that one a lot.
Patty?
This was my best. I'm just saying, this was my best. I totally, hands down, picked a Frenchie. Number one, they're surprisingly athletic. Like, you look at the package, you think, build a little boxy, but I find that he is, James Corden, surprisingly athletic, and they can sing.
There you go.
Just saying. I'm just saying. I think Manny the Frenchie. If you ever go on Facebook, I haven't seen it in a long time, but his owner starts singing, and the Frenchie just starts. Frenchies have a habit of they howl and they sound kind of childlike. So anyway, I just thought that would be perfect for him. Perfect.
Oh, that's funny.
Jennifer?
Okay, I'm going to preface this with I like you guys' choices better than mine, but I chose Bull Terrier.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that.
Not overly energetic, happy and lovable, but really not all that good looking.
That's actually a really good choice.
No, that's actually really good. I think that's very good.
Yeah.
I do too.
You love him to death. He's a great friend. He's there for you. He's got your back, but yeah, not going to be on the front cover of GQ.
Jerry Seinfeld. Now, I gave him 2 dogs.
Ooh.
One, the dog that he likes to cuddle with at home, a Pekingese, because I think it would just make him laugh, this walking carpet of dog. And I think he would make lots of jokes about it. And the dog that he would kind of go take walks with and play with would be a Brittany.
Oh, That's interesting.
Okay.
Patty?
I picked an Afghan hound because they're kind of good looking, but just a bit different.
just a bit different. I like that. Yeah.
That's good.
Yep.
I like that. For Jerry Seinfeld, I picked the curly coated retriever just because I think he looks like one.
That's
all it is.
Okay. Tina Fey. I had her getting a rescue greyhound.
Oh, that's so funny. Okay, that's funny. Why?
I just thought that she could deal with the fact that they like to sleep a lot, and yet then, when they want to do something or you want them to do something, they're perfectly happy to do that, but they're not, with the exception of Jennifer's greyhound, they're kind of low maintenance characters.
Yes, you're right.
Okay.
On both counts.
What did you have, Patty?
I chose a Chinese custard,
Ah!
and I chose
God.
that just because it makes a statement. What kind of statement? Only time will tell.
I almost picked that for Jerry Seinfeld. But then I kept thinking the Pekingese moving across the floor in that funny little gait, and I just knew he would start laughing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jennifer?
For Tina Fey, I chose the Rough Collie.
Oh.
Yes, Rough Collie.
Oh.
Just because Rough Collie, the happy, expressive eyes remind me of Tina Fey.
Aww.
Happy and intelligent and expressive, yeah. But not over the top. Just the right.
Right.
I'm going to come and save you because Jimmy's fallen in the well. And everybody's going to be happy when we're done. Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
Well, if you have some picks for our comedian celebrities, let us know at our website, healthycrittersradio.com.
Thanks for listening, everyone, and thanks to our sponsor, BioStar US. You can find them online at biostarus.com.
Get the Horse Radio Network phone app on iOS or Android by searching for Horse Radio Network in the App Store. It's free and easy to use.
For details about today's show, go to healthycrittersradio.com, where you can find links, photos, and more information about our guests.
As always, we love your feedback. Please follow us on Facebook under Healthy Critters Radio.
Be sure to visit all the great shows on Horse Radio Network at horseradionetwork.com.